What I love about Hammonton the most is the people that live here.
The people? The people are fantastic.
La calidad de las personas.
The way the community gets together.
It seemed like a sense of community.
Yeah, strong sense of community.
I love how sincere everyone in Hammonton is.
We're also rooted in tradition here.
The traditions among the town.
The arts.
Activities and sports.
The bar and restaurant scene.
Events.
Friends and families.
The small town feel of Hammonton.
I would love to see Hammonton have more biking trails.
I feel like we need to expand more on the arts.
There can be more inclusivity with everybody.
I'd like to see the diversity continue.
More outdoor dining.
More playground equipment that's updated.
Accessible playgrounds and open spaces.
Downtown, they should have more stores and stuff, for people to go in.
More police officers on duty at night.
Even more artists.
I would like to see movie theater here.
Más eventos comerciales.
More people here need to get more involved.
I think it's important to get involved.
It would be nice to see more people involved because it really is a wonderful town.
Hammonton Heart and Soul is Grassroots, an apolitical project that aims to connect people with what they love about where they live. A small group of Hammonton volunteers have worked collectively to help get this project going. We've been around town chatting with residents and having candid conversations, asking what their hopes and dreams are for the future of Hammonton. We want to collect more stories. We want your story. And we are intentionally seeking out the voices of those who are rarely heard. We seek to first determine what matters to the people of Hammonton and then use this information to steer change rather than simply respond to it. Through Heart and Soul, we hope to be able to identify the qualities that Hammonton residents really treasure. The people, the places, the experiences that make us who we are. We are just beginning our work, and we want to hear from many more of you. Once we collect and review the information, we will use this data as a launching pad for local businesses, community leaders, and organizations to steer the course of our collective future. We aim to grow in a manner that Hammonton residents will embrace and trust. We ask you to consider participating in Heart and Soul and share your insights with us. Help us to build a home we love. Together, we can help create change to make Hammonton better for all of us.
Hammonton Heart and Soul es un proyecto sin fines políticos que tiene como objetivo conectar a las personas con lo que aman sobre donde viven. un pequeño grupo de voluntarios de Hammonton que han trabajado colectivamente para ayudar a poner en marcha este proyecto. Actualmente estamos realizando entrevistas para poder involucrar a los residentes en conversaciones sobre sus esperanzas para el futuro de nuestra ciudad. Esperamos involucrar a todos en nuestra comunidad y estamos buscando intencionalmente las voces de aquellos que rara vez se escuchan. Buscamos primero determinar lo que le importa a la gente de Hammonton y luego usar esta información para dirigir el cambio en lugar de simplemente responder a él. A través de Heart and Soul, esperamos poder identificar las cualidades que los residentes de Hammonton realmente valoran, la gente, los lugares, las experiencias que nos hacen ser quienes somos. Que realizamos más entrevistas y escuchamos a muchos más residentes de Hammonton. Una vez que recopilemos y revisemos la información, utilizaremos estos datos como plataforma de lanzamiento para que las empresas locales, los líderes comunitarios y las organizaciones dirijan el curso de nuestro futuro colectivo. Nuestro objetivo es crecer de una manera que los residentes de Hammonton acepten y confíen. Le pedimos que considere participar en Heart and Soul y comparta sus ideas con nosotros. Ayúdanos a construir una comunidad que amemos.
Welcome to Kramer Hall. With a variety of course offerings, public programs, and continuing education opportunities, Kramer Hall is the ideal location for you to continue your academic journey. My name is Christina Birchler, and I have the pleasure of serving as the director of Stockton University's campus here in Hammonton.
And my name is Nick Zabrowski, and I'm in charge of student and community programming.
My experience at Kramer Hall has been excellent. So as the director of the Master's Program in Counseling here at Stockton, all of our classes are held exclusively here at Kramer Hall. The staff are super attentive, and we often say this is our own little family and this is our home.
Even though it's just one building, I wasn't really sure what I was going to expect, but the staff is always so nice. I say hi to literally every single person I see. I always feel so welcomed and warm when I'm here. It's just a really good environment to learn in.
I would say definitely how close-knit the town is. There's a lot of little shops, bakeries, and everything that it's like a little town to explore, which I think is really cute.
So my experience at Kramer Hall, it's been amazing. I absolutely love this area. I don't have to fight over parking, which is amazing. And you know, it's more compact. There's not a lot of people, so it feels more homey and yeah, more cohesive.
I think just the environment in general. I love the art. I love everything that's kind of comforting about it. And like I said, it's really nice to come somewhere that you just feel safe. You feel safe leaving, you feel safe coming. It's just a really nice environment.
It's like an intimate setting. I can find my professors when I want to. There's this awesome guy named Nick. He's just always there. He's on the ball, easily accessible.
It's been wonderful. For example, everyone's been supportive of me. When I was trying to get into a practicum, all the teachers reached out to me, and I just thought that was a wonderful thing. I didn't even have to reach out to them. They all reached out to me. It just blew my mind.
I like the small city feel, so everyone feels like they know each other. You know, the local shops are all so wonderful and so friendly, and it's just such a nice experience exploring the town and really showing what, you know, Hammonton has to offer.
We're here for you.
Take a class.
Visit our art galleries.
Use the computer lab.
Study in some of our quiet spaces.
Meet with your clubs and organizations.
Or attend a free workshop.
There's always room for you at Kramer Hall.
What I love about Hammonton the most is the people that live here.
The people are fantastic.
La calidad de las personas.
The way the community gets together.
It seemed like a sense of community.
Yeah, strong sense of community.
I love how sincere everyone in Hammonton is.
We're also rooted in tradition here.
The traditions among the town.
The arts.
Activities and sports.
The bar and restaurant scene.
Events.
Friends and families.
The small town feel of Hammonton.
I would love to see Hammonton have more biking trails.
I feel like we need to expand more on the arts.
There can be more inclusivity with everybody.
I'd like to see the diversity continue.
More outdoor dining.
More playground equipment that's updated.
Accessible playgrounds and open spaces.
Downtown, they should have more stores and stuff, for people to go in.
More police officers on duty at night.
Even more artists.
I would like to see movie theater here.
Más eventos comerciales.
More people here need to get more involved.
I think it's important to get involved.
It would be nice to see more people involved because it really is a wonderful town.
Hammonton Heart and Soul is grassroots, an apolitical project that aims to connect people with what they love about where they live. A small group of Hammonton volunteers have worked collectively to help get this project going. We've been around town chatting with residents and having candid conversations, asking what their hopes and dreams are for the future of Hammonton. We want to collect more stories. We want your story. And we are intentionally seeking out the voices of those who are rarely heard. We seek to first determine what matters to the people of Hammonton and then use this information to steer change rather than simply respond to it. Through Heart and Soul, we hope to be able to identify the qualities that Hammonton residents really treasure. The people, the places, the experiences that make us who we are. We are just beginning our work, and we want to hear from many more of you. Once we collect and review the information, we will use this data as a launching pad for local businesses, community leaders, and organizations to steer the course of our collective future. We aim to grow in a manner that Hammonton residents will embrace and trust. We ask you to consider participating in Heart and Soul and share your insights with us. Help us to build a home we love. Together, we can help create change to make Hammonton better for all of us.
Hammonton Heart and Soul es un proyecto sin fines políticos que tiene como objetivo conectar a las personas con lo que aman sobre donde viven. un pequeño grupo de voluntarios de Hammonton que han trabajado colectivamente para ayudar a poner en marcha este proyecto. Actualmente estamos realizando entrevistas para poder involucrar a los residentes en conversaciones sobre sus esperanzas para el futuro de nuestra ciudad. Esperamos involucrar a todos en nuestra comunidad y estamos buscando intencionalmente las voces de aquellos que rara vez se escuchan. Buscamos primero determinar lo que le importa a la gente de Hammonton y luego usar esta información para dirigir el cambio en lugar de simplemente responder a él. A través de Heart and Soul, esperamos poder identificar las cualidades que los residentes de Hammonton realmente valoran, la gente, los lugares, las experiencias que nos hacen ser quienes somos. Que realizamos más entrevistas y escuchamos a muchos más residentes de Hammonton. Una vez que recopilemos y revisemos la información, utilizaremos estos datos como plataforma de lanzamiento para que las empresas locales, los líderes comunitarios y las organizaciones dirijan el curso de nuestro futuro colectivo. Nuestro objetivo es crecer de una manera que los residentes de Hammonton acepten y confíen. Le pedimos que considere participar en Heart and Soul y comparta sus ideas con nosotros. Ayúdanos a construir una comunidad que amemos.
Welcome to Kramer Hall. With a variety of course offerings, public programs, and continuing education opportunities, Kramer Hall is the ideal location for you to continue your academic journey. My name is Christina Birchler, and I have the pleasure of serving as the director of Stockton University's campus here in Hammonton.
And my name is Nick Zabrowski, and I'm in charge of student and community programming.
My experience at Kramer Hall has been excellent. So as the director of the master's program in counseling here at Stockton, all of our classes are held exclusively here at Kramer Hall. The staff are super attentive, and we often say this is our own little family and this is our home.
Even though it's just one building, I wasn't really sure what I was going to expect, but the staff is always so nice. I say hi to literally every single person I see. I always feel so welcomed and warm when I'm here. It's just a really good environment to learn in.
I would say definitely how close-knit the town is. There's a lot of little shops, bakeries, and everything that it's like a little town to explore, which I think is really cute.
So my experience at Kramer Hall, it's been amazing. I absolutely love this area. I don't have to fight over parking, which is amazing. And you know, it's more compact. There's not a lot of people, so it feels more homey and yeah, more cohesive.
I think just the environment in general. I love the art. I love everything that's kind of comforting about it. And like I said, it's really nice to come somewhere that you just feel safe. You feel safe leaving, you feel safe coming. It's just a really nice environment.
It's like an intimate setting. I can find my professors when I want to. There's this awesome guy named Nick. He's just always there. He's on the ball, easily accessible.
It's been wonderful. It's for example, everyone's been supportive of me. When I was trying to get into a practicum, all the teachers reached out to me, and I just thought that was a wonderful thing. I didn't even have to reach out to them. They all reached out to me. It just blew my mind.
I like the small city feel, so everyone feels like they know each other. You know, the local shops are all so wonderful and so friendly, and it's just such a nice experience exploring the town and really showing what, you know, Hammonton has to offer.
We're here for you.
Take a class.
Visit our art galleries.
Use the computer lab.
Study in some of our quiet spaces.
Meet with your clubs and organizations.
Or attend a free workshop.
There's always room for you at Kramer Hall.
What I love about Hammonton the most is the people that live here.
The people are fantastic.
La calidad de las personas.
The way the community gets together.
It seemed like a sense of community.
Yeah, strong sense of community.
I love how sincere everyone in Hammonton is.
We're also rooted in tradition here.
The traditions among the town.
The arts.
Activities and sports.
The bar and restaurant scene.
Events.
Friends and families.
The small town feel of Hammonton.
I would love to see Hammonton have more biking trails.
I feel like we need to expand more on the arts.
There can be more inclusivity with everybody.
I'd like to see the diversity continue.
More outdoor dining.
More playground equipment that's updated.
Accessible playgrounds and open spaces.
Downtown, they should have more stores and stuff, for people to go in.
More police officers on duty at night.
Even more artists.
I would like to see movie theater here.
Más eventos comerciales.
More people here need to get more involved.
I think it's important to get involved.
It would be nice to see more people involved because it really is a wonderful town.
Hammonton Heart and Soul is grassroots, an apolitical project that aims to connect people with what they love about where they live. A small group of Hammonton volunteers have worked collectively to help get this project going. We've been around town chatting with residents and having candid conversations, asking what their hopes and dreams are for the future of Hammonton. We want to collect more stories. We want your story. And we are intentionally seeking out the voices of those who are rarely heard. We seek to first determine what matters to the people of Hammonton and then use this information to steer change rather than simply respond to it. Through Heart and Soul, we hope to be able to identify the qualities that Hammonton residents really treasure. The people, the places, the experiences that make us who we are. We are just beginning our work, and we want to hear from many more of you. Once we collect and review the information, we will use this data as a launching pad for local businesses, community leaders, and organizations to steer the course of our collective future. We aim to grow in a manner that Hammonton residents will embrace and trust. We ask you to consider participating in Heart and Soul and share your insights with us. Help us to build a home we love. Together, we can help create change to make Hammonton better for all of us.
Hammonton Heart and Soul es un proyecto sin fines políticos que tiene como objetivo conectar a las personas con lo que aman sobre donde viven. un pequeño grupo de voluntarios de Hammonton que han trabajado colectivamente para ayudar a poner en marcha este proyecto. Actualmente estamos realizando entrevistas para poder involucrar a los residentes en conversaciones sobre sus esperanzas para el futuro de nuestra ciudad. Esperamos involucrar a todos en nuestra comunidad y estamos buscando intencionalmente las voces de aquellos que rara vez se escuchan. Buscamos primero determinar lo que le importa a la gente de Hammonton y luego usar esta información para dirigir el cambio en lugar de simplemente responder a él. A través de Heart and Soul, esperamos poder identificar las cualidades que los residentes de Hammonton realmente valoran, la gente, los lugares, las experiencias que nos hacen ser quienes somos. Que realizamos más entrevistas y escuchamos a muchos más residentes de Hammonton. Una vez que recopilemos y revisemos la información, utilizaremos estos datos como plataforma de lanzamiento para que las empresas locales, los líderes comunitarios y las organizaciones dirijan el curso de nuestro futuro colectivo. Nuestro objetivo es crecer de una manera que los residentes de Hammonton acepten y confíen. Le pedimos que considere participar en Heart and Soul y comparta sus ideas con nosotros. Ayúdanos a construir una comunidad que amemos.
Welcome to Kramer Hall. With a variety of course offerings, public programs, and continuing education opportunities, Kramer Hall is the ideal location for you to continue your academic journey. My name is Christina Birchler, and I have the pleasure of serving as the director of Stockton University's campus here in Hammonton.
And my name is Nick Zabrowski, and I'm in charge of student and community programming.
My experience at Kramer Hall has been excellent. So as the director of the master's program in counseling here at Stockton, all of our classes are held exclusively here at Kramer Hall. The staff are super attentive, and we often say this is our own little family and this is our home.
Even though it's just one building, I wasn't really sure what I was going to expect, but the staff is always so nice. I say hi to literally every single person I see. I always feel so welcomed and warm when I'm here. It's just a really good environment to learn in.
I would say definitely how close-knit the town is. There's a lot of little shops, bakeries, and everything that it's like a little town to explore, which I think is really cute.
So my experience at Kramer Hall, it's been amazing. I absolutely love this area. I don't have to fight over parking, which is amazing. And you know, it's more compact. There's not a lot of people, so it feels more homey and yeah, more cohesive.
I think just the environment in general. I love the art. I love everything that's kind of comforting about it. And like I said, it's really nice to come somewhere that you just feel safe. You feel safe leaving, you feel safe coming. It's just a really nice environment.
It's like an intimate setting. I can find my professors when I want to. There's this awesome guy named Nick. He's just always there. He's on the ball, easily accessible.
It's been wonderful. It's for example, everyone's been supportive of me. When I was trying to get into a practicum, all the teachers reached out to me, and I just thought that was a wonderful thing. I didn't even have to reach out to them. They all reached out to me. It just blew my mind.
I like the small city feel, so everyone feels like they know each other. You know, the local shops are all so wonderful and so friendly, and it's just such a nice experience exploring the town and really showing what, you know, Hammonton has to offer.
We're here for you.
Take a class.
Visit our art galleries.
Use the computer lab.
Study in some of our quiet spaces.
Meet with your clubs and organizations.
Or attend a free workshop.
There's always room for you at Kramer Hall.
What I love about Hammonton the most is the people that live here.
The people are fantastic.
La calidad de las personas.
The way the community gets together.
It seemed like a sense of community.
Yeah, strong sense of community.
I love how sincere everyone in Hammonton is.
We're also rooted in tradition here.
The traditions among the town.
The arts.
Activities and sports.
The bar and restaurant scene.
Events.
Friends and families.
The small town feel of Hammonton.
I would love to see Hammonton have more biking trails.
I feel like we need to expand more on the arts.
There can be more inclusivity with everybody.
I'd like to see the diversity continue.
More outdoor dining.
More playground equipment that's updated.
Accessible playgrounds and open spaces.
Downtown, they should have more stores and stuff, for people to go in.
More police officers on duty at night.
Even more artists.
I would like to see movie theater here.
Más eventos comerciales.
More people here need to get more involved.
I think it's important to get involved.
It would be nice to see more people involved because it really is a wonderful town.
Hammonton Heart and Soul is grassroots, an apolitical project that aims to connect people with what they love about where they live. A small group of Hammonton volunteers have worked collectively to help get this project going. We've been around town chatting with residents and having candid conversations, asking what their hopes and dreams are for the future of Hammonton. We want to collect more stories. We want your story. And we are intentionally seeking out the voices of those who are rarely heard. We seek to first determine what matters to the people of Hammonton and then use this information to steer change rather than simply respond to it. Through Heart and Soul, we hope to be able to identify the qualities that Hammonton residents really treasure. The people, the places, the experiences that make us who we are. We are just beginning our work, and we want to hear from many more of you. Once we collect and review the information, we will use this data as a launching pad for local businesses, community leaders, and organizations to steer the course of our collective future. We aim to grow in a manner that Hammonton residents will embrace and trust. We ask you to consider participating in Heart and Soul and share your insights with us. Help us to build a home we love. Together, we can help create change to make Hammonton better for all of us.
Hammonton Heart and Soul es un proyecto sin fines políticos que tiene como objetivo conectar a las personas con lo que aman sobre donde viven. un pequeño grupo de voluntarios de Hammonton que han trabajado colectivamente para ayudar a poner en marcha este proyecto. Actualmente estamos realizando entrevistas para poder involucrar a los residentes en conversaciones sobre sus esperanzas para el futuro de nuestra ciudad. Esperamos involucrar a todos en nuestra comunidad y estamos buscando intencionalmente las voces de aquellos que rara vez se escuchan. Buscamos primero determinar lo que le importa a la gente de Hammonton y luego usar esta información para dirigir el cambio en lugar de simplemente responder a él. A través de Heart and Soul, esperamos poder identificar las cualidades que los residentes de Hammonton realmente valoran, la gente, los lugares, las experiencias que nos hacen ser quienes somos. Que realizamos más entrevistas y escuchamos a muchos más residentes de Hammonton. Una vez que recopilemos y revisemos la información, utilizaremos estos datos como plataforma de lanzamiento para que las empresas locales, los líderes comunitarios y las organizaciones dirijan el curso de nuestro futuro colectivo. Nuestro objetivo es crecer de una manera que los residentes de Hammonton acepten y confíen. Le pedimos que considere participar en Heart and Soul y comparta sus ideas con nosotros. Ayúdanos a construir una comunidad que amemos.
Welcome to Kramer Hall. With a variety of course offerings, public programs, and continuing education opportunities, Kramer Hall is the ideal location for you to continue your academic journey. My name is Christina Birchler, and I have the pleasure of serving as the director of Stockton University's campus here in Hammonton.
And my name is Nick Zabrowski, and I'm in charge of student and community programming.
My experience at Kramer Hall has been excellent. So as the director of the master's program in counseling here at Stockton, all of our classes are held exclusively here at Kramer Hall. The staff are super attentive, and we often say this is our own little family and this is our home.
Even though it's just one building, I wasn't really sure what I was going to expect, but the staff is always so nice. I say hi to literally every single person I see. I always feel so welcomed and warm when I'm here. It's just a really good environment to learn in.
I would say definitely how close-knit the town is. There's a lot of little shops, bakeries, and everything that it's like a little town to explore, which I think is really cute.
So my experience at Kramer Hall, it's been amazing. I absolutely love this area. I don't have to fight over parking, which is amazing. And you know, it's more compact. There's not a lot of people, so it feels more homey and yeah, more cohesive.
I think just the environment in general. I love the art. I love everything that's kind of comforting about it. And like I said, it's really nice to come somewhere that you just feel safe. You feel safe leaving, you feel safe coming. It's just a really nice environment.
It's like an intimate setting. I can find my professors when I want to. There's this awesome guy named Nick. He's just always there. He's on the ball, easily accessible.
It's been wonderful. It's for example, everyone's been supportive of me. When I was trying to get into a practicum, all the teachers reached out to me, and I just thought that was a wonderful thing. I didn't even have to reach out to them. They all reached out to me. It just blew my mind.
I like the small city feel, so everyone feels like they know each other. You know, the local shops are all so wonderful and so friendly, and it's just such a nice experience exploring the town and really showing what, you know, Hammonton has to offer.
We're here for you.
Take a class.
Visit our art galleries.
Use the computer lab.
Study in some of our quiet spaces.
Meet with your clubs and organizations.
Or attend a free workshop.
There's always room for you at Kramer Hall.
Good evening, Hammonton. Tonight is September 25th. It's approximately 7:05. Sorry we're a couple minutes late from closed session. Roll call, please, Frank.
Councilperson Fagioni?
Here.
Gribben?
Here.
Oliva?
Here.
R. Rodeo?
Here.
S. Rodeo?
Here.
Woolerman?
Here.
Mayor DiDonato?
Here.
Present also Mike Walensky, Town Solicitor, Robert Batiste, Public Works Manager, Mark Herman of ARH, Town Engineer, and Brian Howe, Conflict Solicitor.
Here.
Notice of this meeting has been posted and given to official newspapers. Please familiarize yourself with the fire exits to the right and rear of council chambers. Please do not proceed beyond the front benches without invitation from the mayor to do so. Also, each person who wishes to address council will be allowed 5 minutes.
All rise for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First action is approval of the minutes of August 28th, the regular meeting, the executive minutes that same night, the 28th, and a special meeting on the 11th.
So moved, Mayor.
Gribben first.
Second, Mayor.
Second, Woolerman. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we'll dispense with the regular order of business. We have a presentation from SLAP Consultant LLC on cannabis. Please, come on up. You have a handheld mic?
If not, I'm pretty loud. I don't know if you guys have presentation copies of
Yeah, I gave him copies.
Yes.
Oh, wow, one person page, generous paper.
Did you want me to turn on the...
Sure, I didn't realize I have such an audience, but please do.
Do you have a clicker to change the slides?
No, unfortunately, I gotta go from over here.
Do we have a handheld mic so she can walk around and...
Yeah,
Thank you.
Nobody really needs those now that we're going on here. Anyone has trouble seeing?
Anybody from the public, if you want to see a hard copy, just come up here, please. If you're happy seeing it on the screen, we can do that also.
It's not working?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, I apologize.
Oops. Well, we'll make that offer one more time if anyone wants. Maybe since it's not going up on the slides. All right. Well, thank you guys for having me tonight. There's a lot into this presentation, and I'm not going to go too deep on everything because we could be here for hours, and I know the Eagles are playing tonight, and I'm trying to create friends here, so. My name's Amanda Ostrowitz. I'm the CEO and founder of SLAP Consulting. An attorney by background, and I've been in the cannabis space since 2014. I started in this space as an attorney with a research problem, and my problem was local government policy because there's 40,000 of them in the United States, and they all publish law and pass law differently. And so I decided I needed one place where it all existed. And Lexis and the other tools we had in the legal world didn't do that, and so I built a software company that comprehensively tracks local government policy starting back in 2014. I sold it in 2020, and in order to build a software that could comprehensively track local government, I had to learn very intricately how local governments operate and turned into a local policy geek on all things cannabis. So that's kind of the context.
If you could please let me know how local governments work. I'm still trying to figure that out. For the last 14 years.
Whatever you think they're going to do, plan for 3 deviations.
Okay.
So with that said, as soon as I sold my company, we started getting approached by the operators who had been using the software, asking for help with all sorts of issues that they thought were local government issues, but they were also very much real estate issues and policy issues. And so we've been doing site selection strategy and consulting for cannabis operators and governments all over the country for the last 2 years since I sold that company, and we've placed more than 30 different retail properties for cannabis companies, as well as we've done cultivation and manufacturing, but we stick mostly in the retail space. So our team consists of brokers, attorneys, and policy experts, as well as technical writers. So that's just the context as to how we've grown to have this expertise. But we've done quite a few projects in New Jersey so far. Kind of just to give you a little sense, that's kind of what the slide is with some of these sites, to kind of show you the breadth of different things we can turn into a cannabis site. So there's things like in Lakehurst, a former Burger King that's ready to open any day now, to things like Gloucester City, where we are turning the pub that bothered them the most in town, that looks like a Django block, into a nice new refreshed dispensary. So anything from redevelopment to like a closed down Santander or Ocean's First type of site. So there's a lot of different sites that can work for cannabis, and what's going to work in a given town is going to vary, right? Every single town has different politics, different geographies, different demographics that are going to make different things work and different things they want to see fixed. So whereas in Gloucester City, they wanted to see that pub turned into anything but that pub. You've got other things like that drive this stuff. But the key considerations to look at, when you're talking about cannabis, right? We already know cannabis is legal in New Jersey, and it's up to each locality to decide if they're going to allow it. But at the end of the day, cannabis is already in Hammonton and every other jurisdiction in New Jersey, and it's a question of whether or not Hammonton wants to regulate cannabis in this jurisdiction and provide safe access and reap the economic benefits, or send the money elsewhere. So the key things to look at are, the revenue potential, economic stimulation, and job creation. And then, of course, we have to look at the concerns that are going to naturally be raised and address those. And when we look at the potential benefits and see that we can address the concerns and decide that that's something you want to move forward with, we have to look at creating an attractive opportunity that's going to create a marketplace that's going to work for this jurisdiction and also attract the best operators into it. And that requires us to look at competition from the surrounding communities, understanding what are the different jurisdictions around you doing, creating methodologies to prevent overconcentration, and we'll go in a few different ways that can be done today, and zoning that aligns with retail strategy but also protects sensitive uses in your town that you don't want cannabis near. So with that, I'm going to hit on several different points in here today. Feel free to stop with questions at any point in time. And I'm going to try to keep it quick because this could go forever if you guys really were into it. But let's start with the fun, most important part, revenue potential, right? What are we looking at? What is the impact this can have on Hammonton? So we've done a lot of analysis, and the numbers are different in every jurisdiction, right? We actually have to look at how many stores are within a certain amount of drive, how many people are in this town, right? What kind of traffic drives through it? And so having done a detailed analysis, we think that an adult use retail location in Hammonton could generate somewhere between $250,000 and $500,000 a year. So if you were to put a 2% tax on it, which is what the state allows a local government to do, you're looking at $60,000 to $120,000 annually of sales tax revenue, and that's over $1 million in the course of a decade. So it's not insignificant. That can go to impact new local economic development initiatives, parks, and even pay down any sort of budget deficits. That's up to the jurisdiction to decide how those are used within certain parameters. Next, we're looking at job creation. With the revenue also comes jobs. And these stores, if you were to look at, let's say, just an average 3,000 square foot store, they typically have about 15 roles in them for employees, about half of those being part-time and half being full-time. Anything from, receptionists and inventory assistants up to sales managers and inventory managers. And they're offered a lot of competitive compensation, much more so than most entry-level positions that you'll find in New Jersey. Benefits from day one, and a lot of professional development, because this isn't like somewhere where, okay, you go into a bank and you get an entry-level position, and you could be there for a really long time because the people who are above you in seniority have been there a long time. Nobody's been in this industry for a really long time, so there's a lot of room for professional development and growth within it. So these are jobs with a lot more opportunity for advancement than your standard entry-level and mid-level positions. And also, because you can't hire anyone that's got 15 years experience in it, there's a lot of professional development provided as well. So providing new skill sets to the community. So those are the rosy things. Let's talk about some of the things that people worry about. So security, right? Everyone goes, are we gonna create crime here? What are we gonna do? For those of you that actually received this in email, there's a link to this memo that's up here about crime rates, but basically it says no effect or decrease in crime, generally speaking, in towns that have legalized adult use. And there's a lot of data in this that's coming from police chiefs themselves, actually, who are presenting to other jurisdictions on the effects. So there's really compelling information there from actually the chief of police in Port Hueneme, California, where he has 10 dispensaries, and he saw an actual reduction in crime in his town by having 10, which that's a lot. But if you can manage that, 1 to 2 also can be very feasible. But when it comes to security, dispensary facility design really facilitates a lot of that, and also by what's required in the state laws. So the state has very robust security requirements that require everything in the facility to be monitored with video surveillance 24/7. Your local police department is allowed to request, and the company must grant access remotely into security footage at any time, as well as the state. And these are kept on site and made available at all times. Lots of reporting and transportation rules, like basically everything from how it's designed to who can go in is extremely stringent, such that we have to make former banks more secure than they were as banks holding cash. And you're also not going to see anyone underage walking into these facilities. The way that you can walk into a liquor store with your child, you cannot walk into this facility with your child. They will be stopped at the front door. You also won't be able to see products from the exterior of one of these facilities. The way in a liquor store, you'll see the Coors sign and the Bud sign, and you might see bottles through the window. None of that. Everything needs to be completely opaque. So there's a lot less to it that's going to be attractive. It's actually not allowed to be attractive to children. So then another thing people worry a lot about is traffic. Everyone thinks we're going to have a huge traffic concern wherever anyone goes in these places. But, well, the first thing you can see is that if you look at all the stores that opened, and yes, there was lines on day 1 of adult use in New Jersey, there's really not lines anymore. There are more and more increasing, and by the time there would be one potentially open in Hammonton, should Hammonton go that way, there'd probably be at least 70 to 100 more that have opened between then and now, because even just timeline, right? If you guys started working on an ordinance tomorrow, you're talking many months down the line before you'd have one in place, and then you'd have to, take applications, go through land use, and then these people have to build a store. So you're talking, at bare minimum, if you go on a sprint, 12 months. Unrealistic, but just to say there's a lot in line to open up, so that the crowds are going to be much lesser. But also, the ITE, the International Traffic Engineers, they have actually come up with numbers for this. There's enough stores in place now so that there's standards for traffic. And so they say 7.19 parking spaces for 1,000 square feet of gross floor area. So there's actual tangible numbers that can be used to judge whether a site's going to have the right amount of parking or how much trip generation there's going to be. And actually, people don't realize, but there's much more staggered traffic than you would see like at a fast food place or a restaurant where you get 3 peaks per day. These are much more like banks. In fact, they're usually, if you compare a store that was a bank to a dispensary, they're usually almost identical numbers for traffic generation. So it's not so out of control, and there's actual studies on this stuff now. So if you guys decide that you can kind of get past some of the concerns and you want to look at, all right, how do we make an attractive environment here for retail, the first thing you have to look at is the competitive landscape. In other words, what do the communities around you do? So you can see some boxed in red on here. I don't know if you guys have color or not, but Winslow, Mullica, and Washington Township all prohibit. And then you've got Chemung, which allows it, but only as an accessory use. And then you've got Waterford, Chislehurst, Folsom, and Hamilton Township that also all allow. And you'll see, there's no cap in Chesilhurst and Folsom, but they also have very low populations, and so there isn't a lot of demand there. They didn't really need to place a cap because it wouldn't make a lot of sense from a business perspective for there to be a bunch there. And then you have a giant, huge number allowed in Hamilton Township, which like 12 is kind of crazy because, you have to then manage up to 12 stores, and 12 are not going to survive. And it's probably the same revenue potential if there was 4 stores there as opposed to 12, but instead they're going to be overseeing 12 stores until 8 of them die. But it's good to understand what's around to see what your town could sustain if you wanted to move forward, because you don't want to have more stores than will survive, and you don't want to oversee more stores than would make sense. So if you look at the second map, a bunch of these pins on here, these all show where the stores are in those jurisdictions that have been either approved or are operating or are pending approval right now. So you can see, there's not too many too close to Hammonton, like on the immediate periphery besides Folsom, but then when you come down to, Mullica, Washington area, but those are all, it looks like it's over there, but it's actually, those are Hamilton Township, just going over a little bit. And then up a bit further towards Monroe.
How do you permit this as an accessory use only?
Basically, when they did that in Chemung, it's basically saying if you have a cultivation facility or a manufacturing facility, you could have retail as an accessory to it, but you couldn't have a standalone store. So it's not very common that you've seen it as an accessory use, but I just wanted to give you what the policy was in that town. And it fits there because it's much more rural to have it, purely as an accessory. They want to attract the cultivation there, and so they're basically saying, look, if you'll come cultivate here, we'll let you have this as an accessory to that.
Accessory to what?
To the cultivation. So when you're looking at a town, you want to go, all right, well, where will this work, right? We're not going to go in downtown Hammonton, right? That's not going to make anybody happy. It's not going to be good for traffic. It's not going to be good for the vibe. You want to go in places though where there's high traffic counts and, not lots of kids. So that's kind of where you look at these maps and you see the traffic here is, it's on 206 and it's on 30. But if you're going to look at 206, right, you're not looking at the part in downtown. Maybe, right off the Atlantic Expressway or right towards the White Horse Pike. But really, the main aisle of the White Horse Pike is where there's probably a lot of potential here and some properties that could use some redevelopment that would benefit from this that might not otherwise get redeveloped. And if you want to limit where they are, there's a few different ways you can control location. So you could do it purely on zoning, right? We're only going to have it in this zone and this zone. And so, that's what Collingswood looks like, right? They permit it explicitly in the HBD and the HID zones, right? So that's, just picking your zoning. You can also do it by requiring frontage on specific streets. So, for example, in, Woodbury, it was, direct frontage on Broad Street or Mantua Pike and certain sections of it. Other towns have gone with a block lot list. They want really specific blocks and lots. That's a way to do it too. You could make a cannabis-specific overlay like they did in Belmar. They said, here's where we're comfortable with cannabis explicitly. Like, it wasn't just in this one zone or that one zone. It was, here's where we're good with it. And then you can also do, a combination of them. The example I gave you there is pretty entertaining, the amount of parameters there. But, so that's like, all right, where do we want them? And then how do we keep it away from things that are more sensitive? So I wanted to take a stab at this by looking at what are your communities around you doing for it. So if you look at setbacks to schools, in Buena Vista there's none. In Atlantic City you've got 200 feet, in Abaston 200 feet, Pleasantville 500 feet, and then you get to Buena, to Harbor, and Hamilton, those are all about 1,000 feet to a school is what they chose. So that's like the least stringent to most stringent. For daycares, actually none of the communities around here have set a setback to daycares. For churches, only 2 in the close by area have set a setback to church, and that's only been 200 and 500 feet respectively. But it just depends on the nature of the community. So those setbacks are just some examples. But I think actually here, when you look at where the properties are that would make sense in this community, you can actually set some pretty strong setbacks, and we'll get into that in a second. But the other key thing here is, let's say this is interesting and you all want to talk more, and we can talk offline about ideas on where and what and how. you still have to make it attractive to the strong operators if you want to maximize revenue potential, and that's going to be that key of preventing overconcentration, right? The groups that are sophisticated aren't going to go to Hamilton Township where they have 12 people they got to play with for the next 3 years before a bunch fail. They want to go into a town where they're going to thrive, and a town that wants them as well. And so if you look at, there's different ways of doing this. A pure cap, hey, we're not going to allow more than 1, or we're not going to allow more than 2. Buena, it's a cap of 1. Buena Vista is a cap of 1. Egg Harbor Township, a cap of 2, right? Just an explicit cap. Another way, though, that they've done this less explicitly is through a setback, a buffer in between different operators. And so in Hamilton, you see 500 feet in between. Clearly not enough with the 12 cap. Still maybe limits it a little. Waterford has 1,500. Gloucester Township has 2,000 feet in between. And then there's also combinations where they do a license cap and a setback in between. And you've got a few examples there. Brooklawn has a 2 cap with 200 feet in between, or Willingboro has 2 and 800 in between. So lots of different ways to prevent overconcentration. And the key is, what is Hammonton most concerned about? But if I were taking a guess as to where it would probably be the least controversial, I think it'd probably be in the HG zones or in the Gateway 2 and 3. Those being those kind of areas I described, either the parts closest to Atlantic Expressway and White Horse and White Horse. And if you look at those lists of setbacks we showed, the most stringent ones weren't crazy. I think actually, though, that in this town, you could go 1,000 from all 3, from schools, daycares, and churches. It'd be more stringent than any of your neighbors and still create opportunities. There'd still be viable properties that would make sense because they're not so much on top of each other on the White Horse Pike as other jurisdictions have, where everyone's one on top of another. I think, honestly, though, given the amount of competition around, probably the logical cap here would be 1, maybe 2. But I don't think there's room for anything like what Hamilton has, and I don't really think it fits with the nature of the jurisdiction. So
how do you discriminate with just 1 or 2?
How do you discriminate?
Well, you have to make a determination about how those licenses are allocated. How do you set the standard of who gets, who don't?
The town gets to decide what's appropriate for it, and a lot are deciding, like, let's start with 1. And if 1's enough and 1's meeting the needs and there's no overcrowding there, then there's no need to add a second one. If we see that that one's getting slammed and there's more revenue potential that's maybe not being met because 1 store alone can't handle that, then you can always increase the cap. So like Lakehurst started with a cap of 1, then they increased it.
Probability is you're going to have more than 1 applicant, right, as soon as you enact an ordinance.
Yeah, there's all different ways that the application processes are laid out. So I think, there's pros and cons to each of the different processes. So some people go with a pure competitive application, but that leads to a lot of litigation and a lot of lawsuits. And so what we're seeing a trend towards is honestly a land use based process. So it's, basically made a conditional use. Land use is the first step of getting towards application. And that's where we're seeing no lawsuits. Is truly by making it land use as step 1, and then that leads into an application for a resolution of support. And that's, a much further down the stage conversation, but we can guide you through all the different options there are for application processes and address all of those concerns. And, would love to talk in more depth. I just wanted to give a 101 today and start from there, but open to any questions. And would love to continue the conversation.
Anybody from council have questions for the presenter? Okay. Seeing none, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
We're looking forward to talking to you in the future, and we'll go from there.
All right.
Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you. Mr. Mayor, if I may, can we deal with my issue? I have another obligation. I'm sorry to impose or upset the order of business, but if it's at all possible,
sure,
I would sincerely appreciate it.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Howell, bring your issue up, please.
Yeah, I'm here tonight temporarily as a conflict counsel. The town has been involved with federal litigation with the Frog Rock Golf Course and related entities for the last several years. We've reached a point where I can bring before you tonight for a vote a potential settlement of the litigation. The litigation's lasted for several years. Over the last, starting out, as every case does, there's been settlement discussions. Discussions started out miles apart. The federal magistrate, Judge Scahill, really threw himself into the case, worked tirelessly along with members of the Frog Rock representation and the town, Mr. Fagioni, myself, the mayor, our insurance counsel provided by Chubb Insurance Company, Mr. Turini, and really surprisingly was able to get the parties to close to an agreement, if not to an agreement. As of Friday, the agreement on the table dealt with a settlement in the amount of $600,000. But the good news is the town of Hammonton's contribution to that number would be $60,000 only. That would conclude the litigation. That would be the end of the town's responsibility to pay anything in connection with the litigation. Our insurance policy is an important thing to understand, as I've explained to members of council and to the individuals involved in the negotiations. Our available coverage at the time that we took out the coverage for pollution coverage, because the case revolves around spills, multiple spills, from the town onto the Frog Rock property over the years, $1 million with the cap. And the kind of policy that was available for that $1 million in coverage was what's called a declining policy. So as attorney's fees from the insurance company attorney, as expert fees from our expert got expended, it reduces that available coverage to the town. And at the present time, that coverage is now under $600,000, starting out at $1 million. And we haven't started a trial. There is a trial date of November 20th, right around the corner in legal preparation terms. So our attorneys are going to have to get seriously prepared to try the case. The estimate for the additional attorney's fees if the case is tried runs to about $400,000. So you can see that would pretty much exhaust, maybe leaving less than $200,000 in available coverage to pay for any claim if the plaintiffs were successful. So as I said at the outset, we can resolve the claim with the papers before you for a $60,000 payment, and we are done. So the town has to decide. If we don't, trial will be around the corner. I should point out one other thing, that the policy does not cover certain things. Part of the town's exposure is failing to report spills that occurred over those years. That exposes us to liability under what's called the Clean Water Act and also some DEP regulations. If plaintiffs are successful in proving that, we are on the hook, we are obligated to pay the attorney's fees for plaintiff. So I've already given you an idea of what our attorney's fees would look like after a trial. Probably somewhere in the realm of about $800,000. So the choice before you tonight, in large part, is do we want to settle the case at a cost to the town of $60 and we're done, or do we want to take the risk of potentially taking on exposure well into the six-figure range? And before you is the settlement agreement. We talked about it in closed. If there are questions, I will answer them. If not, we should entertain a motion to approve.
Could we get a motion on the floor to discuss?
I'll make the motion to discuss, Mayor.
Motion to discuss or a motion for the settlement agreement?
No, motion to discuss.
Motion to discuss, okay. Do we have a second on the motion to discuss?
I'll second that motion to discuss.
Okay. Go ahead, discuss away. Who's up?
So I'll be happy to answer any questions or kind of re-emphasize what I've talked about. But
does anybody have any discussions? Okay. Seeing no discussion, will you remove your motion first and second to discuss?
Yes.
Second. Thank you. Is there a motion to settle per the agreement Mr. Howe has brought to us? Costing the town $60,000 and the insurance company $540,000.
correct.
And not going to court. Question from council. Going once, going twice. Seeing no motion, guess the council will not be taking up that issue this evening, Mr.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the settlement provisions as discussed in closed session, including the 3 supplemental provision items we talked about. I'll put that in the form of a motion.
For Joni first. Do we have a second?
We'll second that.
Okay.
You want to discuss those?
Now we have to discuss.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second. Now there's discussion. Now the public should have a right to know what those 3 items are.
So all the terms are the same, the 600, 540 versus 60. The 3 items we're adding is a note regarding right of first refusal. The second one is a note regarding future spills on plaintiff's property. And the third one is titled possible residential development.
So we have 3 things. One is the entity Frog Rock has talked about residential development. Okay, what do you want to do there?
This just relates to the existing, I guess, proposed development and our gyrations that went forth. That's how should I say it, Mr. Howe?
Yeah, no, on the residential development, the proposal that was discussed would be that there would be no claim from Frog Rock that any negative action by the land use board would result in a lawsuit related to this litigation as the basis for the denial or whatever alleged negative action the land use board would take.
Okay. The second one would be a right of first refusal, so you would be interested, am I correct in hearing that you would want to buy the golf course with a right of first refusal?
It's just an item we discussed, would like to have included in the agreement.
Okay.
Should the property ever become available, the town has enough of an interest in that with the settlement agreement and given its unique location and juxtaposition to our town land application site, which is unique in the whole town in terms of being able to dispose of wastewater. That if they ever, for whatever reason, we're not going to be able to continue as a golf course and wanted to liquidate the property, that the town would have an interest in a right of first.
You're going to have to talk closer to the mic.
That we would have a right of first refusal.
Okay, so that's the right of first refusal. We want to go down the road of buying Frog Rock again. Wow.
Only.
Man, did I get egg on my face last time we tried that.
Only if it becomes available.
Whole town wanted to tar and feather me on Central and Vine. Okay. And
Well,
I remember some of the people here.
If it was legitimate back at that point in time, it would be legitimate in the future.
Okay. And the third thing is?
Third thing would be if the plaintiff discovers any spill on our property, they would notify us within 8 hours. We would have a period of 8 hours to notify DEP at no future lawsuit.
Okay. Council have any discussion on the motion and the 3 issues that would like to be added? Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, roll call, please.
Councilperson Fagioni?
Yes.
Gribben?
No.
Oliva?
No.
R. Rodeo?
No.
S. Rodeo?
I like the provisions, yes.
Woolerman?
Yes.
I want to see protection.
Mayor DiDonato?
No, I'm not going to rabbit hole. Trying to buy that property again? No. Motion denied.
Thank you, Mr. Howell.
Thank you, members of council.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. While we're on dispense of regular order of business, I didn't open up to the public the first time. I missed that. So we're now, before we take action on any other item, the public like to be heard on any agenda action item. Come up to the mic, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Joe Bernardo, 314 West Pleasant Street. As I believe all of you are aware, I am the caretaker of Oak Grove Cemetery, and I am before you regarding a resolution on tonight's agenda relating to the Salem Oak. Several years ago, the Town of Hammonton received a seedling from the historic Salem Oak from the NJDEP, and following a recommendation by the Hammonton Environmental Commission, based on a proposal by the cemetery's then administrator, Robin Bernardo, this body saw fit to name the Oak Grove Cemetery as the future home of Hammonton's Salem Oak. Since that time, under the eye of Scott Rivera and the Public Works Department, our Salem Oak has grown from a stick that came in a manila envelope to a full-fledged sapling, which should be ready for planting shortly. On tonight's agenda is a Resolution 130 of 2023, a resolution of support authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Atlanta County Office of Cultural and Heritage Affairs by the Hammonton Historic Preservation Commission. This application seeks funding to ensure the future site of Hammonton Salem Oak in Oak Grove Cemetery highlights the history of both the oak and the cemetery through interactive bilingual signage and more. I'm here tonight on behalf of the applicants to express appreciation to you for entertaining the resolution, and we hope that you will see fit to approve it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Bernardo. Anybody else from the public like to be heard? With that, okay, come on up, please.
Anthony Sabar, 270 Messina Avenue, Hammonton, New Jersey. First of all, thanks for the opportunity. I just wanted to touch base with a few things. I know we're meeting tomorrow with our committee regarding the homeless. I know you guys all know I was here last week, and I all know you guys know how passionate I am about it. The last 2 weeks since our meeting, I have driven the town up and down. I've been in and out of my Jeep. I've been in and out of woods. I've been in and out of dumpsters, and I've been talking to people. And we do have a problem, and yes, I do agree we will get to the bottom of it. And I think with all different angles, we can get to this. But I wanted to just say something tonight that I would think has nothing to do, has something to do with the homeless, but not the issue of resolving it, but safety in the town of Hammonton. And I would like us to look into it. I spoke to one of the homeless gentlemen, won't mention his name, and people are going to talk to me, they're asking for confidentiality on my end too, but they are opening up. One of them said to me, he worked in Lowe's in Turnersville, lost his job, fell in some hard times, becomes homeless. He applies to the state for housing. They send him a 30-day voucher. This is all, no proof here, folks. This is just what I'm telling you. We have to look into this. And I need somebody to look into it that's going to have the power and authority to look into it. But he gets a 30-day voucher to stay on Orchard Street at one of the Sayer properties. And at the end of 30 days, so Sayer has to reestablish or reapply for another 30 days. He gets denied, and he gets thrown on the street. I don't know, you ask me, I don't know, they just thrown on the street? That's apparently what has happened with one. We all know that, in our local town, we try to inform all the residents of things that are happening. If I'm wrong, please, Chief, tell me. But we all know that there's incidents in town of cars being stolen overnight. We had a guy on the pike swinging a bat with nails at it, yelling and screaming at people. They come from Pyramid. If I'm wrong, tell me. But there should be policies there where these people aren't allowed to walk out and just walk our streets. They're becoming our homeless people. So I'm identifying two places and two ways they're getting here. Not that they're homeless, what do we do with them, but how they're getting here. So the state is sending them here, and we have to have some kind of policies where we just don't throw them on the street if they're not renewed. At least that's my opinion anyway, if we have some kind of ordinances and things like that. And the second is that if they're going to come to a detox center in Hammonton that has chain link fences around it where you can't get out in the back, obviously it's not the safest place in the world with people there, and they could just sign themselves out and live on our streets. So I wanted to identify both of those issues with us tonight to look into it, not so much from a, a mental health issue or an addiction issue or this addiction. It's a safety issue. Our kids are riding their bikes to Wawa. Our kids are riding their bikes to play sports. Our kids are riding their bikes all over the place and walking all over the place. They're down the lake playing. We have no idea who these people are, where they come from, or what their background is, and they're walking the streets. I think it's a concern. I think it's an issue. I think it's a safety issue, and I think it has to be addressed from other than our committee. Our committee is how we're going to fix it, how we're going to help the people. If we can get into an establishment, if we can get into a hospital, if they need help, we'll give it to them. We could feed them, we could clothe them, we could do all kinds of things. But we can't stop pyramid. We can't stop the state from sending people here as a committee, but I think you guys can as an administration. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you have any questions, you can let me know.
Thank you, Tony.
I disagree with one statement. Our cars aren't getting stolen every night.
No, not every night. And we're not buying golf courses every week either. I got you.
All right. Anybody else like to be heard? All right. Seeing no one, we'll close the first public portion. We'll jump over to committee reports. Administration, Deputy Mayor Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Administration Committee met on September 13th, but there are no action items as a result of that meeting. There are 2 action items on tonight's agenda under the clerk's report, as well as 2 self-explanatory resolutions from administration, all which we will take up at the appropriate time. I've asked our business administrator, Mr. Zuber, to provide an informative update on early voting in this year's election.
Want me to give that now? Want me to get real quick?
If you'd like to do it now, yeah,
Sure.
that'd be great.
Just
Thank
wait.
you.
Yep. All right. Early voting. The ballot box for mail-in ballots was opened today by the county. It's right out front steps of Town Hall. Early voting is from October 28th to November 5th. Hours Monday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And the location is the Hammonton Family Success Center right here at 310 Bellevue Ave.
And we'll have that information posted on Channel 9 as well as our town website. Otherwise, that will conclude the Administration Committee report for this evening, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll jump over to business and industry. Councilman Warner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'll have a brief business and industry report tonight. From our Main Street Executive Director, Micah McCullough, she reports that Vintage Betty's at 128 Bellevue Avenue is under new ownership. It is now known as the Shops on Bellevue. There was a ribbon cutting ceremony that was held last week on third Thursday during the Fiesta celebration. In addition, a new business known as Energy Defenders will be moving into 11 South 3rd Street in early October, with a ribbon cutting likely on the third Thursday in October, which is on the 19th. From John Ruffalo at the Hammonton Chamber of Commerce, he would like to mention that the 35th annual golf tournament named in honor of John W. Mazzio will be taking place on Wednesday, October 4th, 2023 at the Pinelands Golf Club at 887 South Mays Landing Road. Anyone who wants to any additional information on how to participate, please contact John at 609-561-9080 or email him at johnruffalo@comcast.net. And lastly, our planning board chairman, Mr. Bill Olivo, and the town professionals met with representatives of a major regional retail convenience store on an informal site plan application. They are interested in developing a new site in Hammonton, and they are working and seeking guidance with the town's professionals, and the committee will keep council informed as this project moves forward in terms of a formal application. That, Mr. Mayor, ends my committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Williver. We'll jump over to education and Councilwoman Rodia.
Okay, the school board met on September the 14th. So far, the school year has gone off successfully. The superintendent, Robin Chieko, did I say that correct? Chieko will be retiring on June 30th, so there will be a search committee put into place to replace her. The school board is looking into and exploring a uniform, the possibility of a uniform. It's in the very earliest stages, but they will be sending out a survey to the parents regarding this topic. The Hammonton Education Foundation Food Bank is in need of donations, so I just wanted to put that out there. And lastly, there will be a digital camera purchased and installed on the turf field for security purposes. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rodeo. We'll jump over to Public Works and Transportation, Councilman Rodeo.
Thank you, Mayor. We have a couple action items tonight. Both of them I'll let ARH, I'll let Mr. Herman discuss. One is the Mazza Muffler area, and the second is our Lake Park ADA to start that program. And also on the Public Works side, when Mr. Batiste speaks, I'll reserve some of my time there. He has 7 different items. I may want to say a few things as he reports on the 7 different items. Other than that, I will conclude my report, and I'll make it short also tonight.
We're going to jump back to quality of life.
And the Eagles are winning 3-0 already.
Okay. I don't think Frank's trying to not know the score. We'll jump back to quality of life because I missed them, Councilman Oliva.
No.
So I was trying to go too fast because the Eagles.
Yeah, that's what I
no
was
problem
wondering.
there. My team played yesterday and they won by 50 points, 70-20. So it was a really good day for me. I'm riding high after the first 3 weeks of the season, and it'll probably end next week. But on behalf of the Quality of Life Committee, I do have a couple things I want to bring up. The Environmental Commission met this month in September. A large part of the meeting was with Atlantic City Electric. They are starting their tree trimming program that they do at the tail end of every year. They have individual sections of lines that they trim on a 4-year cyclical program. Everyone who is on the path of that tree trimming operation should receive a door hanger by their subcontractor detailing the work that they're going to do. In the event that there is an easement on your property and they have to clear trees that are on your property, you'll get a door hanger that has some more detailed information. But if not, it's just largely going to be the clearing or the directional pruning, as they call it, of the trees within the public right-of-way, just around some of their lines. So myself, as well as the committee, asked them a number of questions. We will have a copy of their door hanger on the town website as well as on Facebook, and we'll get an alert as to when that tree trimming is going to begin, and we'll make sure that we get that out there online. That's all from the Environmental Commission. Also, I wanted to bring up, Mayor, from our special meeting, I had announced that I would chair a special committee to work on, as Anthony had stated, tackling the homeless challenge in our community. Also working through and understanding that a number of individuals that are homeless experience some sort of mental illness or addiction. Working to try to find resources for individuals that may suffer from one of those two challenges as well. As part of our committee, we have our first meeting tomorrow evening, so I will be continuing to report back to council about our progress. That we've got, I think, a really good group, strong group, and I know we're going to make some really good progress for everything. So, the third thing is just some upcoming events. Townwide yard sale is this Saturday, 9:30. That's from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. October 3rd, Thursday. The theme is ghosts, obviously, for October. That is on Thursday, 10/19, and that is typically from 5 to 8 p.m. We have downtown trick or treat. That is Saturday, October 21st from 2 to 4 p.m. The rain date for that, though, is the following Saturday. It doesn't push into Sunday. A lot of things push the next day. That'll actually push to the following week. So downtown trick or treat, 10/21, rain date, 10/28. The Kiwanis Halloween Parade is Wednesday, 10/25. That's at 7 p.m. The rain date for that is the next day. And then our, I'll touch Green Day Festival because we've touched that before. I'll touch that in the next future meeting. But a lot of events in October. It's busy downtown. It's busy throughout our community. So I wanted to make sure I got some of those things out there. And then the last thing that I have, Mayor, is that I'd like to establish date and time for Trick or Treat. Quality of Life Committee met and discussed. I spoke with the chief about it as well. We'd like to continue on with the hours and the day that we have held trick-or-treat over the course of the last 4 years. That would be to hold trick-or-treat on Tuesday, October 31st, so on Halloween between 5:30 p.m. and 8 p.m. That's the expanded extra half hour. That gives us about an hour and 15 minutes during the day, so little kids are out there and it's a little brighter outside, and it gives some of the older kids the opportunity to be out there when it's at night between the hours like 6:45 and 8 p.m. So Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to set trick-or-treat hours on Tuesday, 10/31 from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Second.
Okay, Oliva, Gribbin, discussion on Halloween. All in favor of 5:30 to 8, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And Mayor, we will have trick-or-treat tips and safety tips in October by the chief and I, as we always do. And I appreciate everybody's time for a more lengthy report from me. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We'll jump over to Law and Order, Chief.
I'll make it quick. We have coming up this Thursday on the 28th, we have 3 of our candidates that are in the police academy. Will be graduating. One of them accelerated out as she was in class 2 with us, so her field training time is going to be reduced. We also have on the 29th, St. Mary of Mount Carmel Parish is going to be hosting a Blue Mass for us. Unfortunately, on that day, simultaneously is a Hammonton High School football game and a St. Joe Academy game, so that's going to diminish our law enforcement presence at the Blue Mass. Right after the Blue Mass at 7 p.m. there will be a procession. St. Mary of Mount Carmel has obtained a St. Michael statue, and the St. Michael statue will be walked around the block in the area, ending up at the Lady of Mount Carmel building. We also have coming up busy this weekend. We will have on the 30th and the 1st, as well as the townwide yard sale on the 30th, there is going to be the MS Bike, which is going to be going through our community. So I would like people to take extra time to check out what the route is, which I'll have posted on our Facebook page. Make sure you give yourself extra time. On the first day, they're going to be coming through, I believe it's 7 to 1. And on the second day on the way back, it's going to be between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. So there's going to be a lot of time on there where there is going to be bike traveling, and it's going to congest some of the roadways. We will have officers out there at integral intersections to provide safety, to make sure that everyone makes a safe ride through. The other things that we have coming up, as Councilman Olivo said, we have our downtown trick-or-treat, we have our Halloween, we have also a drug collection day that we're going to be doing, and that is on, it's the DEA National Take Back. That's going to be on October 28th. Which is a Saturday. That'll be posted on our webpage. We also did that in conjunction with the Hammonton Education Foundation just last Saturday, and took back quite a few pounds of medication. It's better to be disposed of properly than wind up in the wrong hands or wind up in our water system or our wastewater treatment. That's about all we have right now for Law and Order.
Thank you very much, Chief. We'll jump over to Water and Sewer. Councilman Virginia.
Thank you, Mayor. I have one action item this evening in the engineer's report. I'll jump to when we get to it. A couple quick updates. For starters, the UV system they were installing at the sewer plant, it's a side-by-side system. We have the one half of it installed. We're waiting for the electrician to wire it. Once we get it up and running, we'll take the other half out and do the same. So that project is ongoing. The specifications are complete for the 4th Street Water Tower, and that's supposed to go out sometime this week for bid, so we'll have more of a more to talk about with that in October. We did well with the during the land out for the storm this weekend. Trenches are a third to half at most. Lagoons at like 6 or 7 feet, so we're in good shape there. We sent out, or we're in the process of sending out, a second letter. If you receive this letter regarding lead service lines for your home, please respond. We're down to, I know it's a lot, but 2,500 non-responses, correct? So we're doing a second round of letters to everyone. There's instructions there on how to look for possible lead service. You can call us and we'll come out and inspect that as well. we're working on a way where we can generate calls internally and try to ramp up the inspection so we can get this project going. So far, we had, Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, 1,200 responses, 55 that thought they were either had lead or galvanized. Of the 55, we were able to get into 16 homes to verify. Of the 16, 4 of them actually had either lead or galvanized. So we're doing great with it. We just need to get this thing a little bit further along so we can figure out a funding source and figure out how we're going to tackle the project. So if you get the letter, please take it serious. Please let us know. Someone will help you, Mr. Batiste, someone at the water department. I believe we have our engineer's name and number on there as well. So if you have it, please take it seriously. We'd like to get on that. Next, the turf installation at Moss Mill Park. The turf is complete. They're literally starting to stitch it together. That's going to take a couple days. They're supposed to work this weekend. They lost with the rain. I'm being told they're going to work hopefully tomorrow and wrap this thing up for Thursday. Miss Mazzio has been a godsend here. Every week that we're delayed, we have to reshuffle around all of these programs, both St. Joe Academy and Hammonton events. So there's a lot that we have to constantly reshuffle and let everyone know. So hopefully by the end of this week, this thing is done. That's going to be my goal. So that's where we are with that. And we're going to have a coordination meeting on site with HYSA, with St. Joe Academy to go over keys and how the whole thing is going to, all the gyrations that go along with it. But that'll at least, that'll hopefully kick this off this weekend. That's that. And then lastly, never did this before. I've been up here 11 years. I'm going to do something a little bit goofy. I'm going to do a re-ask of a resolution. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a motion on the floor to adopt the settlement agreement with the Frog Rock property. Of the 3 proposals we talked about, we're going to take out one. So I'll put the motion on the floor that removes the right of first refusal. It'll be for the other 2 that we talked about. I'll put that in the form of a motion.
I will second that. For Joni Woolerman. Discussion.
So Mayor, the 2 that'll be remaining.
Explain what they are.
I got this on my phone. I'm sorry. The 2 that are remaining would be the language regarding the future spills on the plaintiff's property if it ever happens again, and then the possible residential development language. And I'll remove the right of first refusal.
I think the part of the more important part is us never being able to possibly get sued anyway, which, how, or whatever of that property of water coming down 7th Street, ending up onto their property. It has to be that way. I've watched it for too many years for that to happen.
What this actually says is that they would alert us.
Right. We
would have time to resolve the issue. The most important part that everyone has to understand is that we would have the opportunity to call the DEP.
That's good.
The DEP is alerted. It eliminates the lawsuit. So let's just leave it at that. So Mayor, again, been here on my 11th year, never called for a redo. I'm calling for a redo.
Okay. Any additional discussion?
Yes, Mayor, I would say that I would implore my fellow council members to consider the downside risk if this goes to jury. You can never anticipate what a jury is going to do with a complex case. And even though through the course of the settlement agreement, the issue of the water was a negotiating item, the plaintiff actually wanted the water as part of a proposed settlement that did supposed irreparable harm. I think that it's best that we settle this with a minimal amount of involvement by the town in terms of financial obligation, considering the amount of insurance coverage we have and what could be the adverse amount if it goes to a jury, because we can never predict what a jury will do. So that is my piece on this, and I say that with a lot of consideration.
Additional discussion.
I agree with you, Councilman Moorman. I know all about the uncertainties of litigation. And I agree with the conditions in wanting to protect the town. I believe that that's what we all want to do.
We all want that.
I agree with that. Where my reservations lie is in the amount. That's where my reservations lie.
Any additional discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilperson Fajoni?
Yes.
Gribben?
No.
Oliva?
No.
R. Rodeo?
No.
S. Rodeo?
Yes.
Woolerman?
Yes.
Mayor DiDonato?
Yes, motion carried.
You just didn't want to buy Frog Rock.
Don't want to go there again. Don't want to go there again. And anything else?
I'm sorry, that's more than enough for me. Thank you.
We'll jump over to Mr. Herman and the engineer's report. I'm sorry.
Good evening, thank you. Item 1 on the report, as you know, we demolished the Mazda Muffler building. There's still some investigation being done on the environmental side, but in order to close it out, I did submit a final contract change order to this project. It's actually a net decrease of $8,550. So that's been presented to council for their consideration and approval.
Can we get roll call? Excuse me, motion from council, please.
I'll make that motion.
R. Rodeo.
Second.
S. Rodeo. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Councilperson Fajoni?
Yes.
Gribben?
Yes.
Oliva?
Yes.
R. Rodeo?
Yes.
S. Rodeo?
Yes.
Woolerman?
Yes.
Mayor DiDonato?
Yes, motion carried.
Item 2, as Mr. Rodeo had said, regarding the Lake Park project, back in May, we submitted a proposal to do the survey, engineering, and environmental permitting and consulting tasks to get the entire master plan project designed and submitted to the Pinelands for their approval. At the time, we were authorized to just do the survey, which we completed and generated a base map, so we were ready to go. So I'm representing that proposal to council for the consideration, which again includes the remaining phases 2 and 3, which is engineering and environmental permitting services. The lump sum or the total for that, which is a value not to exceed $110,000. 70,000 of that is for engineering and 40,000 is for permitting, wetland delineation, wetland location, Pinelands applications, all those tasks. So again, that's submitted to you for your consideration.
All right, motion from council, please, first read.
I like to make that motion, Mayor, and I also like to add in there, that understand where we're going with this. We have really advanced Boyer Avenue with the turf field and everything that's out there and how well that's put together. We have moved the Hawks now to Capella Field, and they love it there. It's a great new facility for them. And now we'd like to start, now that the Hawks are out of the lake, and we could go there with all the ADA stuff that is needed, plus as far as the baseball facility now, and improve that park, which is going to take a lot. It's going to take quite a few years, but that should be that's where they're going to begin here with all their work, and then move forward with that. Just so everyone understands why we're spending this money and where we're going. I believe that the Hammonton Lake needs the next renovation, just like the other 2 facilities have gotten. And that came from taxpayers' money, and some of this will also. But I think it's great for the kids in the future, the kids of this town.
All right, so we have a first in S. Rodeo. Do we have a second?
Second.
Gribben, second. Discussion. Roll call.
I was going to say, I echo your sentiments, Councilman Rodeo. This council has clearly shown that it is in favor of improving and expanding recreation opportunities in the town, and this is just part of that overall vision.
Thank you, Councilman.
Any additional discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilperson Fajoni?
Yes.
Gribben?
Yes.
Oliva?
Yes.
R. Rodeo?
Yes.
S. Rodeo?
Yes.
Woolerman?
Yes.
Mayor DiDonato?
Yes, motion carried.
Thank you. The last item on my report for action pertains to the Boyer Avenue Pump Station project, which we received bids end of August 30th. We got three bidders, and the low bidder was just north of $1 million, about $1,071,000, which exceeds funding available and exceeds really our estimate. But it is a very difficult project. So with some fighting with depths of water and groundwater and things, so I can see where the numbers are kind of are coming up. But regardless, they're it's just way too expensive for the scope of that project. So our recommendation to the council will be to formally reject those bids as received on August 30th.
Motion from council is read.
Mayor, I'll make that motion.
For Joni first, Woolman second.
Mayor, we're going to redesign. We're going to take the pump station out and redesign, meet with the residents, and come up with a design that'll work and something that's affordable.
All right, we're going to talk about individual pump stations on each house and pump it up?
Yes, yes, sir.
To save some money, okay.
Yep.
As long as we get them sewer,
It's a promise we made.
It's a promise we made.
Yep. Understood.
Promise
we'll keep.
Got it.
Any additional discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilperson for Joni,
Oh, yes, yes.
Gribben,
Yes.
Oliva,
Yes.
Barr Rodeo,
Yes.
S. Rodeo,
Yes.
Woolerman,
Yes.
Mayor DiDonato.
Yes, motion carried.
Thank you. That includes any action items in my report. One quick note regarding the survey we did for the lake, the aquatic survey. We're working the Pinelands. We requested a meeting as we discussed last month, and they're asking for more information before they had that meeting regarding things that I think are a lot of detail, like what chemical we're using and things of that nature. So I got to talk to either Mr. Batiste or Mr. Rivera and get them what they want, and then as soon as we get the information, we'll have a call that I'll schedule and get it to you.
But the report was submitted.
The report was submitted, but they want to see, like I said, the exact chemical we're going to use, how we're going to maintain that buffer. They want some more information, which I kind of thought was the point of the call, but until we get that ironed out, we're still waiting. So as soon as I get things scheduled, sooner the better, I will let council know.
What's your estimation on a timeline to deliver that information to Pinelands?
We got the email from the staff later this afternoon, so tomorrow I'll reach out to Scott and Mr. Batiste and get the information. And as soon as we have it tomorrow, I will
I'm assuming we're
send
using
it
the
back.
same chemical we used last time, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
It was in our application, wasn't it?
Huh?
Don't we have to include it in our application?
It's included in the permit, but probably wasn't included in the paperwork we sent to Pineland. The one thing we have in our favor here is the area that is delineated as we can't touch, the 4.5 acres. The current is going with us with spraying.
Yeah.
So we're not fighting the current here. So part of your protection is just going to be the natural flow of the lake.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what, as of today at 2 o'clock, that's what she requested, the review agent. So as soon as we get that back, we got information from the consultant Du Bois regarding the migration of the chemicals. He's got a 3-step thing that he can provide, but that's all I need to get her to get the thing scheduled. So as soon as I have it, I'll let you guys know.
Thank you very much. Anything else from Mr. Herman? Anybody have questions? Mr. Herman.
Can you make sure that you get a copy to all the council on that letter, please?
Absolutely, yes.
I appreciate that.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Herman. With that, we'll jump over to Mr. Malinsky.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. First action item this evening, if you remember, back at the July meeting, we approved the specifications and plans and authorized ARH to receive quotes regarding the basin work at Traditions at Blueberry Ridge Basin. We received 2 quotes from two entities. Both have been confirmed by the engineer as being duly qualified to complete the work. We got the one quote was from G-Force Excavation LLC in the amount of $37,129.05. However, that does not include clearing, brush hogging, and trimming of the basin areas. The reason I bring that up is because not contemplated or not part of the work, the basin work, was the clearing, bush hogging, and trimming of the basin area. However, it needs to be done in order to do the work, because if you go out there, the growth is up to my chest, and it looks like it's never been cut or maintained by the association. So although not part of the scope of work, I asked this council to consider it. So we have a quote from DeMarco's Landscape. To do the basin work, it's the basin work in accordance with the settlement agreement is $36,100. However, their quote includes $4,000, which includes clearing, brush hogging, and trimming the entire basin area, which brings it up to $40,100. I've spoken with the engineer with regard to this, and in line with his recommendation, I would seek a motion authorizing DeMarco's Landscape at the amount of $40,100 to do the basin work in accordance with the specifications and plans prepared by ARH. Again, just for your edification, the amount that we had in escrow as of January was $46,387.16. So if you tack on the administrative costs for ARH, which was $4,000, the total, even if we approve DeMarco's, which includes the $4,000 additional charge for clearing, bush hogging, and trimming the basin areas, you're still over $2,000 less than what we have in escrow for this.
All right. And can we get a motion for as read, and then there's a little bit of discussion we have to do?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Oliva first.
I'll second, Mayor.
Joni second. Basically, this includes all the repairs. The only thing, they're going to video the lines. If there's any catastrophic damage, if there's minor damage, it's included in the repair. If there's catastrophic damage under the road, there could be a change order at a later date. We don't believe there's catastrophic damage. We believe, if anything, it may be a joint that is weeping or leaking. That's why we're getting some erosion.
And again, that's for both of them. That would be the same for both of them, not just one or the other. That would be the same for both of them. Again, they have to video in order to know what needs to be fixed. Everything includes videoing the pipes, so they can make a determination as to what has to be fixed. Now,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Now, they've included costs on what they think the repairs will be based upon, but that could change based on the video.
And there's one crossing. You have the main basin crossing 3rd Street, or I'm sorry, crossing All Forks Road to the smaller sub-basin.
Right.
Okay.
Next to PRCA.
Yeah.
But both contractors bid it that way, not knowing
what's there,
if there's any damage.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
It appears maybe there's a little repair needed at the head wall, but you can't see what's under the road.
It's fair.
Again, both were right in line with what we had expected the price to be. Without the clearing, bush hogging, and trimming, DeMarco's was at $36,100. G-Force was at $37,129.05. But again, the clearing, bush hogging, and trimming needs to be done. So if anything, that would make G-Force's excavation amount change. And I think that
still be higher.
Again, otherwise we're right. I don't want to delay in trying to coordinate with the association who's cutting this. We need to get this done.
Let's do it and get it done.
Yeah.
Let's get it done.
So I'd rather, again, talk to the engineer, recommend going with the quote that includes that, even though it's $4,000 more than what we have in there. It's still, at the end of the day, barring any catastrophic repairs that are needed, which would be the same for both quotes. At the end of the day, we get the work done, and even if you throw in administrative costs, we still have $2,000 left over that balance in the escrow.
And Mark, if we cut DeMarco's
Well,
loose
not in the
here,
escrow, in the settlement proceeds from the insurance company.
if we cut DeMarco's loose, we can get this done in the next month, I would think, right?
Absolutely, yeah. The longest thing, the work probably won't take but a couple weeks. And that's not even the camera. The aerators, depending on the availability.
Yeah, they're 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
They're 4 to 6 weeks behind. So assuming it takes 6 weeks, again, we're looking at middle of November. We have to complete the work by the end of November. This work has to be completed by the end of November. So the fact that time frame came in, factoring the lead time for the aerators, which is 4 to 6 weeks.
Additional discussion. Roll call, please.
Councilperson Fajoni?
Yes.
Gribben?
Yes.
Oliva?
Yes.
Barb Rodeo?
Yes.
S. Rodeo?
Yes.
Yes.
Mullerman? Mayor DiDonato?
Yes, motion carried.
Next action item is, we had a bid today for Lot 3, Block 1602, also known as 149 Golden Eagle Drive. The successful bidder was Anthony and Cindy Braccarello. Their successful bid was $15,001. So if council is so inclined, just need a motion approving the sale of Lot 3 of Block 1602 to Anthony and Cindy Braccarello, subject to the parties coming to terms on an agreeable contract of sale and then closing.
Motion from council for his read, please.
So moved.
Griffin first.
Second, Mayor.
Second, Oliva. Discussion.
So this negates the first one we did, right? Because we already did this once.
Again, right, it was done by, well, it wasn't done. The ordinance we adopted the ordinance. We passed 3 ordinances because people expressed interest in this property. Okay? So every time there's interest, no one bid on the last, any time. And then the last time we did it, just now, we had 2 people bidding and finally had interest. And again, it was the 2 neighboring property owners. Because it's an undersized lot, we can offer it to the 2 neighboring property owners, but we still have to do it by ordinance in order to sell it.
Okay.
And that's what we did. And this was the 2 neighboring property owners that entered into a bidding war over this. And originally we had $8,000, which was well under what we were asking for. And now it's being sold for $15,001, which is above fair market value, because the fair market value of those, I think, is $7,000 and some, and that was the minimum bid that we had in the ordinance.
Okay.
Additional discussion. Roll call.
Councilperson Fajoni?
Yes.
Gribbin?
Yes.
Oliva?
Yes.
R. Rodeo?
Yes.
S. Rodeo?
Yes.
Woolerman?
Yes.
Mayor DiDonato?
Yes, motion carried.
No, that's all I have.
All right. Jump over to Mr. Batiste and the Public Works Manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple action items, or not action items, but just informational items. APS completed the first phase of Peach Street leveling courses that tried to fill in a lot of the gaps or the depressions that were in that roadway. Weather has not cooperated for them to go back and do the second application, which would be the entire roadway. Their last plan was to try and do it this week. Does not look too promising, but we'll keep it. They're going to still try it. Maybe Wednesday might be a day they might be able to
When
get
they
out
finally get out there, there's already been a good improvement, so
Yeah.
I'm sure the final coat will level it off.
I can already stay in the right-hand side. I know it's all one way, but you can stay in like the right-hand lane and actually drive that whole block. So there's definitely an improvement, but looking forward to seeing what
the
final is.
So we'll keep the council informed on when they get back out there. We took bids for the mill and overlay program. The low bid was received from Arawak Paving for the bid amount of $468,700. So we're recommending an award. That's a resolution later on in the report, or later on in the agenda, so we'll hold it until then. The bond ordinance was introduced, and second reading was earlier in the month, so that'll become due, and we could enter into the contract after the 2nd of October. And Frank was also, since some projects have been closed out, we'll see if there's any additional funds available that we might be able to allocate towards that particular project, and we'll keep council informed of that. The pickleball tennis court project basically is completed. There's a final bill that will be submitted next month, but we're estimating with the change orders and everything, we're a little bit under what the change orders were approved for, so the total bill will be around $523,800 or so. And that's that would be reimbursable through the school program. We thank you for their assistance. The recreation and open space with the county, we're looking into we originally had 3 properties that we were looking at, so in order not to delay too much further, we're going to talk to the county about just maybe looking at 2 properties, one on Packer Street and one at the point of Ink Harbor Road, Moss Mill Road, 9th Street. 4th Street drainage project, the Municipal Utilities Department are out there. They cleaned the pipe as far as they can get. So in that aspect, we mobilized mobile dredging and video pipe. They videoed that pipe last Thursday, so we're waiting for their report and their recommendations on if anything needs to be done to that pipe and where those repairs, if needed, should occur. Safe routes to schools, just information. Their final design proposal was submitted to the state. State made some recommendations, so that'll come back with the revisions once they're reviewed and approved. Lake lowering permit, we applied for that. We did get an approval for the lake lowering permit. Might be a little more extended this year than it was in prior years, but the permit allows us to start the drawdown on November 1st. November 15th, it has to be down to the lowest level. And by March 1st, it has to be completely done and back to the normal level. There'll also be a notice that's going out to the property owners along the lake frontage. And while it's down, we're asking them to cooperate, and any kind of debris that's in front of their beach areas to make that clean up as possible, as quickly as possible. The other thing that's possible during this, when the lake is down to a low level, the town municipal utilities department will go out, and the sewer department will go out and take a look at the boards that are on the dam structure itself. And if there's a need for replacement, we'll get the state to supply those boards, and then we can install them.
So all residents will get this letter, knowing that what's going to come?
Everyone who fronts the
Anyone?
property.
Everyone
Yeah,
fronts
who
property.
fronts the lake.
Will we, if people are gonna go in and they're gonna grab stuff and pull it all out, can we make some sort of arrangement to help pick it up? Like, I mean, if it's voluminous, they're not gonna be able to, can't toss it in with leaves and can't throw it in a trash can.
Is
there something we could do if it's a lot?
They can get it to the street.
Yeah, if people can get it,
But
people
I
get it
don't,
to the
I mean,
street.
I don't want to go driving people back.
Some of them have a long way to go to the get to the street.
I know.
There's a long way from their
But
house to the
to get
street.
equipment back there, we also have a problem because some of those right-of-ways are very narrow.
Very narrow.
Well, we do
I know
this.
one resident right now,
We-
it's a long
we
way,
can talk-
and you'd have to go right on his property.
Since we're not going
I'm
to be
saying if
starting
somebody
that until
gets it to the
November
street-
1st, we can talk it over with Scott and see what the
Okay.
availability might be, and then maybe at the October meeting, see what is feasible and what's not feasible. You
Yeah.
can't tell them to do the impossible.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think machinery, we couldn't get machinery, we don't have the access.
No, I'm just thinking more if somebody were to pick it up and they had it and they brought it out to the street, we're gonna haul it away for them at least.
Let's look at it as
Yeah,
far as the
let's see
options.
where that goes. We
Yeah.
can try something. Bobby, can we go back a minute? We're spending all that $468,000, the road program. Can you mention the streets, please? I don't see it in the resolution.
Okay,
and I
there's
know you-
two.
Just so everyone knows where
The
we're
way it was
going.
bid, there's two sections of Union Road, one section from 206 to Basin Road, and then the other section from Route 206 to Middle Road. So that's two roads there.
Right.
They're doing 15th Street from Egg Harbor Road, or right in front of that one store, where the pavement for Egg Harbor Road stops. And that would just go to the railroad crossing. We cannot do anything
Over
across
the
the
tracks.
railroad because it would be a New Jersey Transit issue.
Issue,
So we
right.
have to stop. In fact, we have to block that street off during that process, not allow any kind of equipment can't go across it. And we have to put enough notice up for people. The roadway's going to be closed, so we have to notify them that the roadway's going to be closed during those time frames.
Right.
And we'll check that out with the contractor and make sure he has sufficient notice on the people that are on that roadway. And we'll also, the contractor will be working with the police department as far as what is needed from a traffic control standpoint for each of the roadways. The other two roadways are Second Road, and that would go from Wood Street.
Second Street.
Or Second Street, excuse me, from Wood Street to, basically, it stops short of Fairview Avenue. The county did Fairview, Second Street for a certain distance off of Fairview Avenue, so we'll stop at that point. And then there's Caldwell, that we'll be doing from Third Street to Second Street. And if there's other, we had like 40 roadways, on the program, but if there's other funds that might be available from prior years that get canceled, we might be able to pick another roadway.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
No problem, thank you. The last item we have is related to the trash collection for the month of October. Like always, it's the bulky waste would be the first week of October from the 2nd to the 6th, and then curbside pickup of brush would be the 9th through the 13th. Now, one exception, Monday is a holiday, the 9th, so whatever is going to be picked up on that Monday would be picked up on Tuesday. And the same would apply for trash collection on that particular day. Anything that gets supposed to be picked up on Monday will get picked up on Tuesday, the 10th, as opposed to the 9th. County recycling, actually there'd be three different times for October. It'd be the 2nd through the 6th, the 20th through the 21st, and then it would be the 30th through the November 3rd.
This month here is the bulky is the unlimited month.
Bulky would be
The
Unlimited in October.
Yeah, so
Unlimited
use
in October,
junk week
October.
usually.
Yep.
Because we've got the townwide yard sale on Saturday, so then everybody can get their stuff out.
Do that week.
So that'd be unlimited?
Yeah. But just remember, none of the other stuff, you can't just throw anything out.
No, it's
regular-
everything is,
Right. It's unlimited, but it's still not tires and everything
Right.
that's
Yeah,
not
tires and
prohibited.
hazardous
Everything is
chemicals and that
prohibited.
kind of stuff still. Yeah.
And that's all we have, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Batiste. Mr. Zuber, bring us home so we can go watch an Eagles game.
Thank you, Mayor.
10-3.
Town Clerk's report. Town Clerk report. First, we have approval of Joseph Wymona as a regular member of Fire Company Number 1. Background complete, and it was approved by Fire Department at their September meeting. The second one is approval to release the continuation certificate/performance bond. It's bond number 656294 for McDonald's, and this was a remodel project from 2009. It was just never brought to Mayor and Council. Approval is read.
So moved.
Gribbin first.
Second, Mayor.
Second, 11. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Councilperson for Joni?
Yes.
Gribbin?
Yes.
Oliva?
Yes.
R. Rodeo?
Yes.
S. Rodeo?
Yes.
Woolerman?
Yes.
Mayor DiDonato?
Yes, motion carried.
Approval of bill list?
Motion?
Gribbin first.
Second, Mayor.
Oliva second. Discussion on the bill list. Roll call, please.
Councilperson for Joni?
Yes.
Gribbin?
Yes.
Oliva?
Yes.
R. Rodeo?
Yes.
Yes.
S. Rodeo?
Yes.
Woolerman?
Yes.
Mayor DiDonato?
Yes, motion carries.
Resolutions, we have resolution number 126, approve specialized services. Resolution 127 is authorize St. Mary of Mount Carmel Church Fall Festival. This is October 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. That's the church on 206, St. Anthony's. 128 is support Knockout Opioids Abuse Day. It's October 6th. Resolution 129, accept NJDOT grants for Hammonton Municipal Airport. Resolution 130, authorize submission of grant application to Atlantic County. Resolution 131, award state contract for purchase of telecommunication systems. This is for the new phone system for Town Hall. It's under a state contract. Resolution 132, award contract for 2023 road program, and that was to Arawak, as Bobby had mentioned in his report, for $468,700. Resolution number 133, approve tax, water, sewer refunds. Approval as read.
Motion from council.
Motion, Mayor.
Oliva first.
Second.
Second, Gribbin. Discussion. Roll call, please.
Councilperson for Joni?
Yes.
Gribbin?
Yes.
Oliva?
Yes.
R. Rodeo?
Yes.
S. Rodeo?
Yes.
Woolerman?
Yes.
Mayor DiDonato?
Yes, motion carried.
And that concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Second opportunity for the public to be heard. Come on up to the mic if you're interested. Seeing no one, I guess we'll close the second public portion. Does council have anything else for the good of the order?
No, sir.
Seeing nothing, I'd accept a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Make the motion.
Our rodeo first.
Second. Okay.
Second Griffin. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night, Hammonton. Thank you.